Good morning to everyone. I'm Mrs. Smith. I'm teaching at Jimfashire High School. So I will be your teacher for today. And it's my privilege to give you work, energy and power. But I must really congratulate you. You are the valence electrons. That means the ones with the highest energy. Because for coming on a holiday, a long weekend, yes, you're very committed. So congratulations to you. Okay, just work, energy and power. Your main concern usually is that you don't know which formula to use. That's the main problem. So if I just go through the formulas before we start, that will make it easier. So if I look at the formulas, the first formula we have W. You know, if I want to teach this chapter, I can only do this. I take my hands, I put them together, and I rub them against each other. Then I've taught you the whole chapter. Because now you have to do work, but you can't just sit like this the whole day and think your hands will become warm. So you must put your hands together, you must rub them, so you're doing work. And what are you doing then? You're transferring energy because your hands get hot. But if you do it like this, maybe at lunchtime your hands will be hot. But if you do it like this, very fast, then your hands will be hot in no time. And that is power. That is the rate of energy transfer. So that is work, energy and power. So if I have W, it is equal to F delta X cos theta. So you can read that from your formula sheet. But what is the important thing is that W and F must fit each other. So if you want to calculate the work done by gravitation, you must use the gravitational force. If your work done by the net force, it must be the net work. So the W and the F must fit each other. So you can't calculate work for gravity, but use F net. So you must use the one that fit each other. You always put in the F as a positive number. We call it an absolute value. So it's always a positive number. The delta X is the displacement. That's important. It is displacement and not distance. So it's displacement, and then cos theta is the angle between F and delta X. So cos theta can only be 0 degrees, which means same direction. And that is easier if you use your hands. You can just say, here's my hands. If I can put F and X in the same direction, then it is cos 0. If the objects move to the right, but the force is to the left and your hands are like this, then it's 180 degrees. It's opposite direction. So that is a stretch angle that I have. So there's my 180. So that means opposite directions. And please don't talk about different directions, because different directions can mean 20 degrees, 10 degrees, 30 degrees, whatever. Opposite means they 180 apart. So that is the important thing there that you must know about W equals F delta X cos theta. Okay, if I look at power, power is a P. It can be W divided by T, because they say it is the rate. The rate means anything about time. It is the rate of energy transfer or the rate at which work is done. You can use that formula for everything as long as you have the time. So maybe you can work out the work with that formula and then just divide it by time. So that's one possibility. Then there's another formula that says P, and now you must look at the abbreviation at the bottom. P average equals F times V average. Now, if you use that formula, that V there can just be constant velocity or speed. So if you don't have constant velocity, you can't use the right-hand side formula. And again, the P and the F must fit each other. So if you want to work out the power of the engine, you must work out the force of the engine. Now, usually the formulas that you use, you're not going to use straightforward the power formula. You first have to calculate either the W or the F, and then you can calculate the power. So usually that counts 6 marks in a calculation. So that's work done and how fast you do the work. It's the power. Now my other problem is the rest of the formulas of energy. If I look at the energy formulas, if they tell you only energy principles, it means you can use no Newton. So you can't work out the net force by using Newton's second law, so you're not allowed to. And if they say only energy principles, you can do no equations of motion. Okay, so that's very important. So no Newton, no equations of motion when they say only energy principles. Okay, now what am I allowed? What is an energy principle? Okay, there's 3 of them, but now we're dividing them in 2 parts. There's the part with no friction. They can say there's no friction, or they can call it an isolated system. And just remember, when you use physics, it's isolated system. When you get to chemistry, then we talk about a closed system. And that is the thing that in a closed system, you can still transfer energy, but in an isolated system, you can't transfer the energy out of the system. Okay, so no friction, then you use the mechanical energy. You use the conservation of mechanical energy. That formula that I'm going to write down is now, it's not on your information sheet. So we're going to say sigma, that means the sum of mechanical energy initial. And please, boys and girls, don't skip that E, because sometimes you skip the E and then you say the sum of MI. That means the sum of masses. So please make sure, and they're very difficult when marking in the matric paper. It's very difficult when you don't write subscripts. So please make sure you do have the subscripts. That equals the sum of the mechanical energy final. And then you say mechanical energy is the sum total of potential energy plus kinetic energy before equals EP final plus EK final. And then you say mgh initial plus half mv square initial equals mgh final plus a half mv squared final. Oh, sorry, m final, other way around. Okay. All 3 must be there for 1 mark. Okay, so make sure when you use the conservation of mechanical energy, you can only use it when there is no friction. And then you must write everything down for the 1 mark. So please make sure about that. So sigma means adding things together. And when you fill in numbers, there can be no negatives because energy is a scalar value and not a vector. Okay, that's the part for no friction. So if I want to have no friction, I must do my mechanical energy. If there is friction, which will be more likely that you're going to have, that is the first one is where you use the work energy principle. principle. If you have the work energy principle, that is also the definition asked mostly, and that is the only definition on your whole formula sheet that is directly as you say it. It's not like this is now inversely proportional to this and this is directly proportional to this. That formula, if you write it down, the net work done equals the change in kinetic energy. And now it is change, and change means you must subtract things from each other. You don't add them together, you subtract them. So the net work done equals the change in kinetic energy. That's the one that you can use. The other one that you can use is WNC. Now, just about NC, it's non-conservative forces. That means the route that you take is important. And the NC doesn't stand for non-contact. This is your contact forces. So that is like applied force or friction that you use there. So WNC equals delta EK plus delta EP. So anything, if they say energy principles, it can be anything on this bottom block. You must just decide if there's friction or if there's no friction. So if I have friction, then I can only use those two formulas in the circles. So you must just read carefully to decide what formula to use. So that's the most difficult part, is to get to the formula. So just decide, because on your information sheet, you will see there's really a lot of formulas. So delta EK means I must subtract, delta EK, delta EP, I must subtract from each other. Other thing that you must read that is very important, if they say constant speed or constant velocity, then delta EK equals 0. So if they say constant speed or velocity, it means delta EK equals 0. So that's very important. So sometimes you miss that and then you think there's not enough information. EK is not 0. The object is moving. So EK is not 0, but delta EK, the change in kinetic energy, is 0 because the final and initial velocities are the same. Okay, so that is your important information for us to do the calculations. Now look at the calculations. I don't know why it's not in the order from 1 to up until 10. Mrs. Venter sent me the notes, so I'm just going to use it in this order. So let's start at question number 10. Okay, if I look at question number 10, you will see that when I did the calculations yesterday, I already draw something in on my picture. And that's the important thing about science. Please read science. Don't read like you read English or Afrikaans or whatever language. So you must make sure when you get to a number, write it in on your picture. A worker pulls a crate of mass 30 kilograms from rest. So I already write the initial velocity equals 0 along a horizontal floor by applying a constant force. Okay, just remember, constant force doesn't mean constant velocity or constant acceleration. It just means you move the block with the same pace the whole time. You don't take that rope and pull it like this the whole time. You just move it smoothly then. At an angle of 30 degrees to the horizontal. Okay, now that's the other important thing. It's not the 50 Newton that's causing the motion. It is the horizontal component of the 50 that causes the motion. So I'm not really interested in that 50 Newton. I'm interested in the horizontal component. So from grade 11, a horizontal component causes the motion, a vertical component lifts it from the surface. A frictional force of magnitude 20 Newton acts on the crate. So if the object moves to the right, the frictional force is to the left, and it will be a kinetic force because it is moving. Now they say 10.1, and that's your easy marks. Draw a labeled free body diagram to show all the forces acting on the crate during the motion. If it is the force, you can't draw components. So if I'm at question 10.1, I have my forces. So there I have the force, and if you put in a number is not a label. So you must name the force. So I'm going to name that one F applied. You must write out the word applied. So you can't just write app. You must write out the word applied. So there's your applied force. Then the other easy one is the gravitational force. There is a frictional force, Fk. And then your normal force, normal. You will also see that my normal force is shorter than my gravitational force because there's already a vertical component upwards there that's helping the block. So the normal force plus the vertical component upwards must be equal to the gravitational force downwards. So that's why I don't draw those ones equal in length. Good, so that is it will be 4 marks. Then 10.2, they ask, give a reason why each of the vertical forces acting on the crate do no work on the crate. Now the motion is horizontal and the force are vertical, so that means the angle between your F and delta x will be 90 degrees. And cos 90 degrees equals 0. So that means if you take that formula of W F delta x cos theta, the cos theta will be 0, and everything multiplied by 0 gives you 0. If you have any discussion in physics, you must write a formula in your discussion. So that's why I use cos theta, that also counts for a formula. Okay, 10.3, calculate the net work done on the crate as it reaches point P 6 meters from the starting point. Okay, you have more than one choice here. The one choice that I can use is to say W. What W must I work out? The net work. So W net equals, and then I can say F net delta x cos theta. So you will see I put a subscript there to make sure that I use W net as well as F net. Now you also have the choice. You can first calculate the net force separately by using Newton's second law, because they didn't say you're not allowed to only use energy principles. So I can use the net force. I can do it separately, or I can put it here in my calculation. So if I want to put it in my calculation, I'm now interested in these forces that's horizontal. So if I want to use the horizontal force here, then I must say it will be 50 cos 30 degrees. How did I get that? Cos 30, because it is adjacent and hypotenuse. So it's cos 30 will be FH divided by 50. So FH will be 50 cos 30. So that's my one force. minus, my friction will be 20. So you can work it out separately, or you can put it in here. That will be my net force. It is moving 6 meters to the right, and then cos will be 0 degrees, because the net force is to the right, and the object moves to the right. So that means they're in the same direction like that. So that means it is cos 0. Okay, and if you do that on your calculator, you will get 139.81 joule. Okay, so that is the one way of doing it. I will later show you another way, but for this, I will keep to this calculation. So just make sure you will see there's your W net, and it fits my F net. They must go together. Okay. Then 10.4. It is easy if they tell you which formula to use, then you don't have to decide. So now they give me no choice. Use the work energy theorem. The work energy theorem, the work energy principle, the work energy law, it is all the same thing. And then I must start by saying W net equals delta EK. So I have no choice which formula to use. They told me I must use that one. There's other formulas that will give you the same answer, but you won't get marks for that. It's not coming just to an answer in physics. It is, how did you arrive at that answer? So W net equals delta EK. I've already calculated W net, so I'm not going to expand the left-hand side. I'm just using that value 139.81. I'm not going to expand it. But now I'm going to expand the right-hand side, half mv final squared minus half mv initial squared. And it's always final minus initial. 139.81 equals half times 30 times Vf squared, because I must calculate the final velocity, minus, and initially it was 0 because it said started from rest. Now I must just do on my calculator 139.81 divided by a half times 30 and get the square root of the answer. I get 3,053 meters per second. Just about the rounding, the 0 after the comma doesn't count, so then you must still have 2 digits, because you must round to 2 decimal places, significant decimal places, meaning the 0 doesn't count, and then there must be 2 places there. And just a new thing also, they didn't ask velocity, they asked speed. So you must just transfer now and just say speed equals 3,053 meters per second. I know that velocity and speed have the same symbols, but when you are asked to give a scalar quantity, just put in that word of the scalar quantity, speed or distance, to get to the answer. Okay, then I get to 10.5. Usually the last question sub-question of each question is usually something that you have to explain. And in this case, the worker now applies a force of the same magnitude. So it means it's still 50 Newton, but a smaller angle. So it's now not 30 degrees, it is 20 degrees or whatever. To the horizontal on the crate. How does the work done by the worker now compare to the work done by the worker in question 10.3? Write down greater than, smaller than, or equal to Give a reason for the answer. No calculations are required. Okay, if I use my calculator, you will see if I put in cos 30, cos 30 will give you 0.866. It gives you 0.866 if I put in cos 30. If I put in cos 20, you will see I get now 0.94. So if I decrease the angle, I increase cos. So it's inversely proportional. If I decrease the angle, I increase cos. So I'm going to write that down. At this stage, I don't know if I must write greater than, smaller than, or equal to. The answer, if you want to guess, it's not going to be equal to. Okay, so you actually have a 50-50 chance of greater and smaller because equal to doesn't count. So now you're first going to write if theta decrease, cos theta increase. Why do I want to know that? Because if I look back at 10.3, I'm interested in the horizontal component of my applied force. So the applied force stayed the same, but the horizontal component didn't stay the same because it is now a different angle. So I will tell now the horizontal component of the force increase. So the horizontal component of the force will increase because of cos that's increasing. Boys and girls, you must just be make sure about this. That cos at the end is not the angle at which I pull the object. That is the angle between f and delta x. So that is why I didn't put the cos 30 at the end, but I put the cos 30 with the 50. So just make sure, now I'm talking about this part, the horizontal part there. Because this is a physics explanation, you must have in your physics explanation a formula. Which formula? W net equals F net delta x cos theta. That cos theta at the end state 0 degrees. Delta x stayed the same. So that means now that W net is directly proportional to F net. What was F net? It was the horizontal component minus the friction. My horizontal component increased. So that means that W net will increase because it's directly proportional. So that whole bracket will increase. Fk stayed the same. So the whole bracket will increase and W net will increase. But now I'm not allowed to write the word increase because that wasn't one of the options. I must write greater than. And please start with that word greater than, and then you continue with your explanation. You can't start with the explanation and then say greater than, because they first ask you, write down greater, smaller, or equal, then give a reason for your answer. So please answer that and then do your explanation. So 10.5 is a level 4 type of question. Okay, let's look at question 11. It is about a helicopter. Okay, if I look at question 11, that is now a different one than the ones that you used to. A rescue helicopter is stationary. That means it is hanging still in the air above a soldier. The soldier of mass 80 kilograms is lifted vertical upwards through a height of 20 meters. So that means there's my height of 20 meters by a cable at constant speed. Okay, now, if I look at that part, constant speed, it means some information is given there. It means delta EK equals 0. Okay, so that's important. What else does it mean? It means my velocity is constant. Okay, that was given. If velocity is constant, acceleration is 0. And because of Newton's second law, F net is directly proportional to A, so that means that F net is also 0. So if you see the word constant speed, just in that 2 words, it means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things for me. Or if you want to be technical, the second one was given, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4 things that is meant by that. Why do I want to know it? Because when I get to my labeled free body diagram, the last one is also important. So if you have constant speed, you must know all those things that is disguised into the words constant speed. The tension in the cable is 900, so that is my tension in the cable, is 960 Newton. Assume that there is no sideways motion during the lift. So this means that the helicopter is moving that guy just up into the air. It's not swinging up into the air, it's moving directly up into the air. Okay, but because that is important, because as soon as there is sideways motion, do you know how difficult that is going to be? Because then you have to use a lot of trigonometry to get to the answer. Okay, so that is important why they tell you. And now, a very, very important sentence. You're so used to that they say there's no air friction. Look what they say. Air friction is not to be ignored. So that means there is air friction now. So please read very carefully. Don't read what you think they say. Read what is actually said there. Okay, so let's get to question 11. Question 11, 11.1. They say, state the work energy theorem in words. I'm not going to write it out in words now. We don't have the time, but I'm going to write you in symbols. Now, if I'm the learner, what I will do is every time I have to learn a law, I first write it in symbols and then I learn the words. So I like using symbols. So now in this case, the net work done equals the change in kinetic energy. Okay, so I'm just going to write it in symbols, but they said in words, so you can't do it like this in the exam. You must write it out in words. 11.2. Draw a labeled free body diagram showing all the forces acting on the soldier while being lifted upwards. They've already given me some of the forces. So I already know that upwards there must be the force of tension. Okay, that was already given to me. Now you must just think what will happen when that cable breaks. It will fall to the ground. Why will it fall to the ground? There's gravitation. Okay, now the other one, air friction cannot be ignored. If it goes up, what direction is the friction? Down, because friction is always opposite of direction of motion. So there's my friction. And please, boys and girls, you must use a ruler. Not like me doing it freehand. Please use a ruler. Other important thing, you must draw everything in pen. No pencil allowed in the exam. Because if you do pencil, we see it as rough work and it's not being marked. I'm now a physics marker for the past 25 years already. So I'm going to tell you those things. It's very important things because otherwise you lose marks and you don't know why. So that is very, so I work it in my teaching and that's why I tell you everything must be in pen. Even if you draw organic molecules, they must be in pen. We're not marking any pencil, we're not marking Tipp-Ex, we're not marking highlighters. We're just marking black or blue pen. That's it. Okay, so very important, please. Okay, the second important thing. I know I've made you angry because I say you can't use Tipp-Ex. Okay, you laugh Tipp-Ex, I know. But please, you just draw a line through and you don't use Tipp-Ex. Okay, 11.3. Write down the name of a non-contact force that acts on the soldier during the upward lift. Non-contact. Now just think for yourself. He can't hang onto the cable if it's not connected to the cable. So that's contact. He must scratch against the air to get the friction. That's contact. But it's not necessary to touch the earth to be attracted to the earth. So that is gravity. Plus, please make sure you can't just write gravitational or gravity. You must write gravitational force. Because if you just write gravitational, what? Is it now gravitational force or gravitational acceleration? What are you meaning? So you must write gravitational force. Otherwise, you're not going to get that mark. Or otherwise, you can just write weight. 11.4. Now they say again, use the work energy theorem. Yeah, I'm so glad, so I know I must use the formula W net equals delta EK. That is important. Okay, now, you will see I'm now going to use a different method of W net. I'm not going to expand it by saying F net. Why not? Because I don't have all three forces. I just have the tension, and I can work out the gravitational force, but I don't know anything about the friction. So I'm not going to expand it as F net delta X cos theta. What I'm going to do the vector sum of all the work that is present. So I'm going to say W applied plus W friction plus W gravitation equals, and now I'm not going to expand the right-hand side. Why not? Because constant speed said that delta EK is 0, so I can just write the 0. So I don't have to expand it, I'm just writing the 0. Now I'm going to do it like this. The applied, I'm going to say F applied delta X cos theta. So I'm going to write for each W, I'm going to write its own F delta X cos theta. So F applied, there it's F applied delta X cos theta. I'm not going to expand the friction. Why not? Because they ask the work done on friction. They don't ask the frictional force, they ask the work done on friction. So I'm just keeping it like that. Plus, I'm going to expand Fg delta X cos theta, and that equals 0. So I'm not going to expand W friction, because that is what is asked. So I'm not going to use now first find the force and then the friction. I don't want to do that. Now I'm just putting in the numbers. The applied force is 960. He goes through 20 meters. And now, if I use my hands again, the force is upwards, the person is going upwards, same direction, so it is cos 0 degrees. I'm keeping the friction. Gravitational force, they say a mass of 80. So 80, not minus 9,8, just 9,8. I'm working with a scalar value. Again, through 20 meters. Just be cautious. Sometimes when you already multiplied by two numbers, you forget about the 20. So I'm sure you can change delta x to a delta y also because it's vertical, but that's my 20 meters. But now the person is going up, but in which direction is gravity? Down. So they opposite directions, so it's cos 180 degrees. So that cos 180 makes it a negative. So I don't put in a negative 80 as well, I just put in the cos 180 at the end. And then if I get friction, my answer will be, I got minus 3520 joules. Friction is lost. You lose energy due to friction. But please remember, you can't use the word lose, because it's actually not lost, it is transferred into heat. So it's not lost energy, you can transfer it. Be cautious to say you're losing it. Okay, because then sometimes the marker is also losing it. Your teacher will lose it. Okay, the science people sometimes just become a little bit crazy. We lose it. Okay, so you can't lose energy, it is transferred into friction. Okay, boys and girls, question 4, just below question 11 is question 4. Why I want to do this one? Oh, this is our speciality. They're going to combine your other favorite topic, momentum, with work, energy, and power. Okay, I know you love momentum. Okay. Okay, so let's look at question number 4. I hope I will finish it in 10 minutes. Okay, they say the bounce of a cricket ball is tested before it is used. The standard test is to drop a ball from a certain height on a hard surface and then measure how high it bounces. Okay, so as soon as you see it bounces off a surface, already think about momentum, because there's a collision with the surface and it bounces up again. During such a test, a cricket ball of mass 0.15 kilogram is dropped from rest, so that means my initial velocity is 0, and it strikes the floor of a speed of 6.2. Okay, why did I put in minus 6.2? Because it goes down. I stay with my directions as up as positive, down as negative. So because it's going down, minus 6.2. The ball bounces straight upwards at a velocity of 3.6, so now it's plus 3.6, and then when it reaches maximum height, the final velocity equals 0. The ball bounces straight upwards at a velocity of 3.6 to a height of 0.65 meters, as shown in the diagram below. The effects of air friction may be ignored. So that means now I'm in an isolated system. Okay, 4.1 is a definition of impulse. The definition of impulse is where they say you have the time it takes, it is the product of the time it takes and the net force on the object. So you can write it down, but you'll see I write it in symbol form and then it's easy to transfer it in words. Okay, 4.2. Calculate the magnitude of the impulse. Okay, boys and girls, just on impulse. Impulse can be either F net delta t or it can be delta p, depending on what information do you have. So F net delta t can be impulse or delta p can be impulse because they also equal to each other. Calculate the magnitude of the impulse of the net force applied to the ball during the collision with the floor. Nowhere there was anything given about force, so I'm going to say you must write the formula as on the information sheet. We call that a mother formula. So please write your mother formula. F net delta t equals delta p. Delta P becomes mVF minus VI. Okay, now, a very, very important thing. If I have these two values, that is for the ball coming through the air and it strikes the ground. Just before it strikes the ground, it is 6,2. So that part is for air. This is for the air, it bounces back. But when you get to the ground, so this is the final velocity of the air, that is the initial velocity of the air. But your final velocity of the air is your initial velocity on the ground. So V initial for the ground will be minus 6,2. So the initial for the ground is minus 6,2 and the final velocity of the ground is 3,62. So that's very important. So the values, the final and initial swap now. So the final for the air is the initial of the ground and the final of the ground is the initial of the air. Why do I want to know it? Because I want to do my calculation. 0,15, the final on the ground is 3,62 minus 6,2. And then I get the answer of 1,47 kilograms meter per second. And I just say the magnitude of. So if you have the magnitude of, you don't put in a negative there. It must be a positive value. So if you get a negative value, because you've chosen your directions the other way around, you must just write it, please, as a positive value. Then 4.3. To meet the requirements, a cricket ball must bounce to 1/3 of the height of that of it initially dropped from. Use energy principles. That means no Newton, no equations of motion. So they blocked you to use vertical projectile motion. And now, what is the important thing? No friction. So if I go back to my first explanation this morning, no friction, I use mechanical energy. So I'm going to say sigma. And please, when you write sigma, that line must be sharp there on the side. You can't write sigma like that, because that symbol is not sigma, it's epsilon. Okay, Greek alphabet. Okay, so you can't write it like that. It means something completely different. So it must be sharp. There you see, if you finish science, you can speak Greek as well. Okay. I know you think I talk Greek the whole time, but okay. EPI plus EKI equals EP final plus EK final. And then I have MGH initial plus half MV initial squared equals MGH final plus half M final squared. Okay. I'm now tired for 1 mark. Okay. if I look initial, 0,15. So what is my whole purpose? I want to calculate the height from which it is dropped. I must divide it by 3, and I hope it will give me 0,65. That's my purpose. So 0,15, 9,8, I want to calculate the initial height. Initially, it was dropped from rest, so that means initial velocity is 0. It comes to the ground, so I'm 0 meters from the ground, plus a half, 0,15, and the final velocity minus 6,2 squared. Okay, so if I calculate HI, I get 1,96 meters. So I want to calculate the initial height. And now I hope, keep thumbs, if I get the 1,96 divided by 3, okay, it's 0,65 meters. So that means it met the requirements. So just make a conclusion, because they say you want to determine whether this ball meets the minimum requirements. So yes, it met the minimum requirements. Okay, boys and girls, so that is very important. So how did I know I must use this formula? The clue was no friction. So because there is no friction, I use this. So make sure you can do this combination between momentum and work energy and power. They really love it. But then it must be a closed system. The other thing where you're going to use momentum and work energy together is when you use a pendulum. You also use this formula. Okay, boys and girls, so that is my story for today. I really wish you well for the June exams, but maybe I will see you again during the term.